Hello, my name is Rachael Jordan, and I'm here to talk to you about commenting on student papers. I teach in the composition program here at Cal State Channel Islands, and a lot of times I get questions from faculty about how to effectively comment on their students' papers. But why comment on student writing? Your purpose is to provide your students with specific advice on what needs to be added, changes they can make, or what ideas need to be reconceptualized for their final version. You're coaching revision. There are a couple different options. For those who don't require multiple drafts, you can allow rewrites. What this means is commenting on the final draft and still being able to grade it, but giving students the option to revise for a better grade based on your comments. Another option is to physically comment on an earlier draft, or the best option is to hold a conference to orally give feedback and have a conversation with your student about their writing. However, I know many of you like giving written feedback. So here are some tips for how to do that effectively. I've compiled a hierarchy of different questions to ask yourself as you go through your students' writing. The first is, does the draft follow the assignment? As you're reading, if you realize that the draft is not fulfilling the assignment, there's no purpose in commenting further. If they're not answering the assignment, they're going to have to scrap a lot of their work and rewrite, so you can just stop there. What I'll do is I usually return a draft such as that unmarked and ungraded. If they do follow the assignment, the next question you can ask yourself is, does the writer have a thesis that addresses an appropriate problem or question? What this is going to do is help with your students' quality and clarity of thought. Ways to comment on this issue. You can say, I can't find a thesis here, nor is it clear what problem or question you are addressing. Please see me for help. Or, as what happens with a lot of students, your thesis finally becomes clear by the end. For your next draft, move it up to help your reader. Open your intro by explaining the problem your thesis will address, and then follow that with your thesis. Also, the reader needs a preview map of your argument. What you're doing here is making sure that the conclusions your writer has come to are upfront and close for the reader. If the draft does have a thesis, next you ask, what is the quality of the argument itself? So what are the strengths and weaknesses of the ideas? You can use marginal and end comments, which I'll discuss later for this level, to address questions about ideas. Is the argument appropriate to your discipline? Is it logical? Is there appropriate use of relevant and sufficient evidence? Are the ideas developed with sufficient complexity, subtlety, and insight? Is there adequate awareness of and attention to opposing views? Some comments you can leave here are, interesting idea. Nice comparison of X to Y here. Expand and explain. Could you give me an example? Aren't you overlooking X's point of view here? I don't see how you got from X to Y. Argument is confusing. What's your evidence for this assertion? If you've gotten this far, the next thing you can look for is your writer's organization. Here, you can comment on the opening paragraph and introduction to make sure it's setting up the paper for the reader, and you can start looking at the opening sentences of paragraphs. There should be transition sentences that lead the reader from one idea to the next. Some comments you can leave are, how does this part fit in? You lost me in the last sentence. I'm getting confused. What's the point of this section? How does this paragraph relate to what you just said? You're bouncing all over. I need a roadmap of where we have been and where we are going. To help students notice organizational issues at a micro level, you can point out problems of unity and coherence in their paragraphing. So for example, why so many short paragraphs? This paragraph wanders. What's its main point? This paragraph has lots of details, but I can't see their point. You seem to be making several points here without developing them. Break into separate paragraphs. All of these questions will lead your students to more organized, more thoughtful, and clear essays. You can leave your comments in a variety of ways. You can use end comments to summarize your assessments of the strengths and weaknesses of the writer's ideas, and use marginal comments to indicate places where organization or structure becomes confusing. But what about grammar? Think of it this way. Would you paint your kitchen and then remodel it, or remodel it and then paint it? You'd probably remodel it first. For papers, grammar is the paint. Here are a couple technological tools that can help you leave comments. VoiceThread allows you to leave verbal comments and even upload their document. Turnitin has a voice comment feature. You can use Google Hangouts to hold conferences. The Explain Everything app allows you to upload documents and both write and record your voice. And you can also use the comment function in Word. Of course, your pen is always useful too. That was the quick guide to commenting on your students' writing. Happy commenting!